There are divine doctors on Kunlun Mountain, peerless and secretive, holding 9 wedding letters and descending the mountain, stirring up the storms of China. A silver needle in one hand saves lives and helps injuries, while one's cultivation sweeps through all enemies. Chapter 1. There is a divine doctor on Kunlun Mountain. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Kunlun Mountain is a dilapidated Taoist temple. Dr. Yi, please exert force. It's comfortable. Miss Wang, your demand is too high, isn't it? I can't stand it if you keep bothering me every day. The sound inside is very captivating and unrestrained. It is easy to misunderstand that what one thinks is a matter of mediocrity is actually just treating a disease. The pouring rain outside couldn't conceal the woman's cries of pain and joy. A woman kneeling in the rainstorm was extremely beautiful. Her clothes soaked in the rain showed a concave and convex, devil-like figure. The rain fell across her delicate face, making her feel sexy in the cold. Behind her stood a person who was also drenched in the rain. Miss, please get up. He is happy inside. Even if he is truly a peerless divine doctor, his character is not good. You cannot marry such a person. The speaker was Bai Bing's secretary, standing outside the room, and they all heard mesmerizing sounds coming from inside, very angry. They came from afar in Jiangbei to seek medical treatment. The old man had a strange illness and could not be cured even by searching for famous doctors in the world. They accidentally learned that there was a peerless divine doctor on Kunlun Mountain who had unparalleled medical skills. Countless nobles had come to seek treatment with great money and were all cured. I just heard that Dr. Yi has a strange temper, has his own principles, is not afraid of the powerful, does not consider his status, and they do not understand what he is looking at specifically. After finally getting to know him, he wanted to see Dr. Yi, but was refused and told not to disturb him in his business. The so-called legitimate affairs are the affairs of the interior. Xiaoqin, don't worry, experts have their own bad temper. This is our 3rd time here, and we have been well prepared this time. When he finishes his work, he should be able to see us. Bai Bing glanced at her secretary and swept her gaze towards the large and small gift boxes under the eaves. The most prominent one was a wedding letter. She inquired and found out that many wealthy people were refused various villas, estates, company shares, luxury cars, beauties, and so on in order to seek the help of Dr. Yi. Only the person who delivered the marriage certificate succeeded. She had decided that as long as Dr. Yi was willing to save her grandfather, she would marry him. I just didn't expect to come this time. It was a bit uncomfortable to encounter Dr. Yi doing this kind of thing with other women inside the house. She is the goddess in the dreams of countless men, with unparalleled talent and beauty in Jiangbei. Do you really want to marry such a man? Miss, even though his medical skills are really impressive, I don't think he deserves you. Look at him. It's been an hour and he's still disgusting. Secretary Xiaoqin couldn't help but say. The sound inside made people blush, but it finally stopped. A mature woman with curly waves, sexy attire, and fiery red lips walked out of the door. Her face was flushed and satisfied, and her charming eyes were enchanting. She glanced at Bai Bing kneeling at the door. At the moment of seeing this person, Bai Bing was stunned and said, Miss Wang Zhenju from the Wang family in Rihe. Jiangbei and Rihe are both major economic cities in Jiangnan province, but Rihe city is the provincial capital, and the Wang family is also a big family in Rihe. There are more rumors about Wang Zhenju, who is a business genius with stunning beauty, fiery figure, and diverse charm, making countless men crazy. I didn't expect it to be her. Wang Zhenju didn't care about her surprise. With a glance at the corner of her mouth, she coquettishly said. The most beautiful woman in Jiangbei, you're here again. Glancing at the gift box in front of him, he finally picked up the wedding letter and glanced at it, saying. It's another marriage letter. Do you all want to monopolize Dr. Yi? This is already the 9th marriage letter, can Dr. Yi handle it? Looking back at the room, he smiled and said, Dr. Yi, you need to prepare more aphrodisiacs. Your sexual pleasure is a bit fierce. This time, you are the most beautiful woman in Jiangbei. After finishing speaking, he put down his marriage letter, twisted his big butt, propped up his umbrella, and left. A young man walked out of the room, looking a bit lazy, but with sharp edges and fair cheeks, in his early 20s. He is the divine physician Yi Wushuang that Bai Bing requested to see. Dr. Yi, please save my grandfather. These are deposits, please check them. Bai Bing ignored the woman and quickly spoke up when he saw Dr. Yi come out. Yi Wushuang scanned the gift box in front of him, picked up the marriage book, opened it and took a look. Then, he looked at Bai Bing, who had been soaked in the rain and had no makeup, but still looked incredibly beautiful. The most beautiful woman in Jiangbei is indeed worthy of her reputation, and under the watering of this rainwater, she has a unique taste. Bai Bing, you are beautiful, but there is still a gap between you and them. Yi Wushuang handed her a stack of marriage letters. Each marriage letter contains the name of the bride and a brief background introduction. Bai Bing looked at it and was immediately shocked, saying, The first family in the capital, Yu Linglong. Is the daughter of the richest man in Zhonghai as beautiful as jade? Chen Mingyue, the daughter of the richest man in Jiangsu and Zhejiang. Lin Chaoga, the daughter of the first hand in Jiangnan province. Looking at the wedding letters from big families and powerful families, I was shocked and a bit dejected. Although the Bai family is a wealthy family in Jiangbei, and their appearance is known as the #1 beauty in Jiangbei, compared to these people, their power and wealth are incomparable. Perhaps their beauty can be matched, but they do not have an advantage. It can be said that with the addition of my 9 marriage letters, my conditions are the worst. Yi Wushuang watched her expression change and asked lightly. Can you give me another reason? After thinking for a while, Bai Bing said. My Bai family is also a top-notch family in Jiangbei. As long as you cure my grandfather's illness, apart from the present gifts, all the forces of my Bai family will obey your orders. Yi Wushuang asked, Are your Bai family very strong in Jiangbei? Both black and white are related, as long as you need them, we will listen to you. Yi Wushuang took out a small bottle and handed it to her, saying. Twice a day, 2 pills at a time. After 7 days, I will personally visit and leave my contact information. You can go back now. Bai Bing was extremely excited and quickly took the small bottle, saying. Thank you, Dr. Yi. I will be waiting for his arrival. Stand up and prepare to leave. Yi Wushuang spoke again and said, Wait. The two quickly stopped and turned their heads. Dr. Yi, please speak. You have seen all 8 wedding letters, and when the time comes, you can help me marry them together and make them bigger for you. Bai Bing hesitated for a moment and said, Do you want all 9? Are all the marriage letters you gave fake? Bai Bing hesitated to speak, wanting to say something, but still swallowed it back. He first cured his grandfather's illness before saying. Of course not, I will keep my promise and be at the mercy of Dr. Yi at any time. The two of them left. As they left, Yi Wushuang still stood under the eaves, watching the rainstorm still falling, sighed and said. After practicing in Kunlun for 5 years, I finally gathered 9 wedding letters. According to my master, I should go down the mountain and let them fulfill their engagement. I don't know if my parents are well, so I'll go back and take a look first. The next day. The sky is clear for thousands of miles, the sun is shining brightly, and the air is particularly fresh. Yi Wushuang returned to Jiangbei city and followed the vague memory to his former home. But I found someone else living here. Upon asking, I found out that my parents had already sold their house 3 years ago and moved to the old city area. I came all the way to inquire. Finally found a home in an old neighborhood. The person who opened the door was a middle-aged woman, with clear wrinkles on her face and slightly white hair on her temples. She looked very haggard and had a weak energy. "Mom!" Wushuang couldn't believe it. His mother was a person who pursued life very much and was quite refined. She was a senior executive in a certain company, a senior white-collar worker, and focused on appearance. It's completely different from what it is now. At the moment the woman saw him, her eyes turned red and tears rolled down her face. She hugged him tightly with a crying voice and said, "Wushuang, you are my Wushuang, my son. Mom, you. Why did you move here? How did you get so old?" Wushuang was full of doubts. Mom wiped away her tears, pulled him in, tried to squeeze out a smile, and said, "Wushuang, come in, this is our home. Where's my dad?" "Dad?" Wushuang saw a middle-aged man sitting in a wheelchair, with gray hair, looking at him with tears in his eyes, feeling a little excited but trying to hold back his tears. "Dad. You. What's wrong with you? What exactly happened? When I left, weren't you all okay? Is it retaliation from the Guo family?" "It's Guo Qingkuan." The mother who once pursued refinement in life was haggard, and the father went from being a small business CEO to a semi-paralyzed patient sitting in a wheelchair. His heart was twisted like a knife, with intense pain and anger burning from within. "Come to my father and check it out." Father's eyes were filled with tears as he whispered, "Child, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Dad won't die, don't worry." Wushuang suppressed his anger and looked at his parents, saying, "This is a rare bone-corroding poison. Who is going to harm you?" "Guo Qingkuan." 5 years ago. His girlfriend was taken in by Guo Qingkuan, the second-generation wealthy man, and he successfully hooked her up. They had an affair and he caught them on the spot. The two of them also made various sarcastic remarks and even insults towards him. Guo Qingkuan also threatened not to make Wushuang's family better off. Wushuang didn't pay much attention at the time. Feeling heartbroken, he went to Kunlun Mountain to relax and met an extraordinary expert. He apprenticed to him and practiced for 5 years, mastering both the technique of defying heaven and the secret technique of cultivating immortals. My master left Kunlun Mountain 2 years ago after abandoning a cultivation technique and instructed him to stay at a Taoist temple, waiting for the opportunity of 9 marriages before he could come down the mountain to fulfill his marriage agreement. "Child, Guo family, we can't afford it, so don't worry about it." Dad sighed and touched his head, his tearful eyes filled with indulgence, saying, "At least for this year, they haven't appeared again. In the future, our family can live a simple life together." Wushuang looked at his mother and asked, "Mom, what's going on?" Mom sighed and fell into memories, recounting the events of the past few years in detail. It turned out that after he left, Guo Qingkuan used the power of the Guo family to cause his mother to be fired, and was falsely accused of embezzlement of public funds, suffering from 6 months of imprisonment. It was his father who tried his best, compromised, begged countless people, searched for the truth, and ultimately helped his mother exonerate before being released from prison. And his father was also secretly targeted by the Guo family, causing his small business to go bankrupt and suffer multiple personal attacks. He was also exposed online and even unknowingly poisoned. During this process, I have already been burdened with huge debts and can only sell all fixed assets such as houses and cars. The small 3-bedroom apartment in this old community is still rented now. After hearing this, Wushuang was furious. As he tried to suppress it, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes and he said, "Dad, I can cure your illness. In the past 5 years, I have met an expert who has learned first-hand medical skills, but the medicinal herbs I need are quite precious." Suddenly, the phone rang. "Take it out and take a look, it is Bai Bing who is seeking medical treatment." He turned around, walked into a room, stood by the window, and answered, "What's up?" There came a hurried voice from Bai Bing, saying, "Dr. Yi, I have a patient on the brink of death here, and I would like to invite you out of the mountain. Yi Wushuang was a bit speechless, and the patients outside couldn't compare to his father. He said, I'm not available. Bai Bing knew that the divine doctor had a strange temper, and she had also looked at Kunlun Mountain 3 times before seeking her grandfather's life-saving medicine. She said, Dr. Yi, I am at the ChinaA Medical Center. If it is not convenient for you to go down the mountain, we can video it. Can you provide some guidance? I will also pay you the corresponding compensation. Are you in the clinic? Yes. I have returned to Jiangbei and I can help you save people, but I need you to do 2 things for me. Firstly, I need some medicinal herbs. Once I cure the person, I will do it. Secondly, you can help me investigate the Guo family, especially Guo Qingkuan. I want to destroy the Guo family. Bai Bing over there was a little excited and said, I can help you with both things. Where are you? I'll go pick you up. No need, I can go there myself. Chapter 2, This is Dr. Yi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Wushuang came to ChinaA Medical Center. Bai Bing has been waiting at the entrance of the medical clinic. Dr. Yi, you're here. Bai Bing greeted her with a shallow smile, but couldn't hide the anxiety between her eyebrows. I have already purchased some of the medicinal herbs you need, but some are truly precious and have a price but no market. However, I will find a way to find them as soon as possible. Yi Wushuang nodded and said, Okay, save someone first. Where is the patient? Bai Bing led the way ahead, feeling a bit embarrassed, and said, Dr. Yi, that. Lu Xingshou has arrived early and is already treating the patient. The 2 of them arrived at the consultation room, which was crowded with doctors from the hospital and families of patients watching the excitement. Yi Wushuang glanced at her and said, Dare to claim to be a holy hand. Is this person very skilled in medicine? Can you show it to your grandfather? Bai Bing hurriedly explained. Lu Nianjin, Lu Xingshou, in the Jiangbei Chinese medicine industry, can be said to be a person of great power. Naturally, he showed it to my grandfather, but he was helpless. Big Dipper. I really want to see it. 2 people squeezed into it. Lu Nianjin was examining the patient's body, with furrowed brows and seemingly not in good condition, and said, A wrong injection has turned other silver needles into deadly weapons, and the situation is very bad. Lao He, I only have 10% confidence. Would you like me to take action? 10%. He Chang's face changed greatly, and his forehead was constantly sweating. This is Lu Xingshou, even he has only 10% certainty, basically this person can judge death. Let's take action. I can only hope for the elusive one. Lu Nianjin held a silver needle and prepared to give it. A voice came. If you give this injection, the patient will definitely die. Instantly, it caught the attention of everyone present and they all looked over. Lu Nianjin's hand was in mid-air and asked, Who is this little friend? Do you understand traditional Chinese medicine? Yi Wushuang was calm and looked at the patient, felt his pulse, and said, I understand a little bit. The patient's physical function is rapidly deteriorating, and the heart is stopping blood supply, causing the blood flow throughout the body to gradually stop flowing. It will quickly coagulate, and once it coagulates, other organs will lose their motivation to work, and the patient will also die. You plan to inject at the 2K acupoint, which may seem to forcefully activate cardiac resuscitation, but in reality, it will cause even greater problems, and the heart is highly likely to explode. As soon as this sentence is spoken, Lu Nianjin also became somewhat solemn and said, You can identify the cause of the disease and be familiar with the pathology. I believe you understand medical skills, so how do you think needles should be administered? Yi Wushuang immediately said, Shenkei, Tanzhong, Yutang, Zigong, Xuanji. Upon hearing this, before he could finish speaking, Lu Nianjin exclaimed in a loud voice, Nonsense, give injections recklessly. You are the one who will take the patient's life. Where did you come from? Drive away quickly. He ignored it and continued to administer the needle. Insert the silver needle into the juk acupoint and twist it a few times. The patient quickly became motionless and did not foam at the mouth, but stopped breathing. Seeing this scene, the atmosphere is extremely tense. He Changhe quickly whispered, Lu Xingshou. Lu Nianjin's forehead was sweating profusely, and he sighed, saying, I did my best, let him leave peacefully. This. He Changhe didn't know what to say when he suddenly saw Bai Bing and thought of something. He asked, Mr. Bai, has that divine doctor arrived? Bai Bing looked at Yi Wushuang next to him and said, This is Dr. Yi. He Changhe then seriously looked at Yi Wushuang, his eyebrows slightly furrowed and hesitant. After all, just now Lu Xingshou said that this person is not good, and besides, he is so young that he doesn't look like a peerless divine doctor. He said. Such a young traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. But he heard that Bai Bing had found a divine doctor who could save his grandfather, so he begged Bai Bing to invite a divine doctor to save his life. It was just that Lu Nianjin arrived early. Looking at the patient again, who was on the brink of death, Lu Xingshou was at a loss and had no choice but to die as a living horse doctor. He tentatively asked. Can you still save it? Can save it? Yi Wushuang said calmly. He Changhe's face showed a smile, wanting to say something. Yi Wushuang said again, but I don't want to save it anymore. The smile on He Changhe's face instantly solidified. Why? Yi Wushuang said, I originally wanted to borrow medicine from your clinic. I could have helped you save people, but from the beginning, you didn't trust me. Did you invite me? He questioned me, and you never said a word for me, which shows your distrust of me. Now that he's not working, do you think of me? Together, I'm a spare tire. He Changhe quickly said, I apologize to you because I didn't take your feelings into consideration in the first place. I'm sorry, I apologize to you. Humph, ignorant child, speaks recklessly and speaks recklessly. Lu Nianjin snorted coldly. Even the king of hell could not save the patient who had been sentenced to death, saying, Lao He, you are also a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. The most important aspect of traditional Chinese medicine is the accumulation of experience and the accumulation of time. He is only in his early 20s, what skills can he have? The doctors next to them also nodded in agreement with Lu Nianjin's statement. People who couldn't even be saved by Lu Xingshou couldn't be saved even if immortals came. Young people like to brag and talk big. What skills can such a young Chinese medicine practitioner have? Young people pretend to be forced without looking at the place. In front of Lu Xing's hands, they will only lift a stone and hit their own feet. Lu Nianjin has a great reputation in the medical field and his words are also extremely authoritative. They are naturally willing to trust Lu Xingshou, not a young Chinese medicine practitioner. Bai Bing spoke up and said, Lu Xingshou, your medical skills are among the best in Jiangbei, and your diagnosis is also extremely authoritative. But have you ever heard the saying, there are divine doctors on Kunlun Mountain, peerless and secretive. This is the miraculous Dr. Yi Wushuang, whom I invited from Kunlun Mountain to treat my grandfather's illness. My grandfather has taken his medicine and has awakened, so I believe in Dr. Yi. He said that if he can save him, he can save him. After Bai Bing finished speaking, the people present looked at Yi Wushuang with less disdain and more skepticism. Bai Bing comes from the Bai family, a first-class family in Jiangbei. He is a stunning and commercial genius, and his words naturally have a certain degree of authority. Chapter 3. Ancient Needle Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are divine doctors on Kunlun Mountain, peerless and secretive. Lu Nianjin repeated this sentence. He had heard of it before, but believed it was just a rumor. He carefully examined the young man in front of him and said, This is just a rumor, Miss Bai. Over the years you have traveled the world for your grandfather in search of famous doctors. You have seen countless traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, haven't you? Have you ever seen such a young miracle doctor? Don't be deceived without realizing it, your grandfather's body can't help but struggle. Bai Bing recalled the 9 marriage letters, the medicine she had only obtained after 3 visits. She didn't believe it was fake and said, "I found the person myself, I trust him." Lu Nianjin snorted coldly and looked at Yi Wushuang, saying, "Since you said you can cure it, then you should show it to me." Yi Wushuang said, I don't want to treat it anymore." Lu Nianjin sneered and said, "Hee, I think you're afraid that lies will be exposed, right? I'll tell you, the Bai family is a first-class family in Jiangbei. If you deceive the Bai family, you won't have any good fruit to eat." Looking at Bai Bing, he said, "Miss Bai, it's obvious that he's afraid to take action, which is enough to show the problem. He's just a fraud." Looking at Yi Wushuang again, he said, "If you can save someone, I apologize to you." The people on site were also full of anticipation. Lu Xingshou personally spoke, as if they had seen the scene of the young man pleading for mercy before them. A patient's family member said, "Young man, if you can't save your life, you should apologize to Lu Xingshou. Admit your mistake. He is a big power in the medical field. It's not shameful to apologize." Yi Wushuang's gaze swept over, as if everyone was waiting to see his joke. On the scene, only Bai Bing chose to believe himself, and in the end, his gaze fixed on Lu Nianjin, saying, "If I save my life, will you kneel down and apologize to me?" Lu Nianjin sneered and said, "If you really have this ability, I will kneel down and apologize to you. You can call me Grandpa 3 times. I'm afraid if you can't save me, the Bai family probably won't let you live in this world." Without hesitation, Yi Wushuang took out his silver needle bag and gently shook it. A row of silver needles were displayed, and he took out 7 silver needles and gently closed his eyes. After a while, my eyes opened. The whole person's feeling has changed, and there has been a certain change in temperament. The manual with the silver needle was extremely fast, like flowing clouds and water, landing on the patient's acupoint. The 13 needles of the ghost sect. How could this be possible? Suddenly, a voice came. Many people turned their heads and saw Lu Nianjin's face full of shock, with an incredible look on his face. He stumbled back a few steps, almost falling and being supported by someone. "Lu Xingshou, what's wrong with you?" "Lu Xingshou, you. Are you?" Everyone looked puzzled, with their eyes fixed on Lu Xingshou and Yi Wushuang. Only He Changhe walked over with a shocked expression on his face and said, "Lu Xingshou, what are you talking about?" "The 13 needles of the ghost sect. He is using the ancient needle technique that has long been lost. The 13 needles of the ghost sect. These ancient needlework techniques have been passed down like gods." Only Lu Xingshou and He Changhe were present and had heard of it. He Changhe had not even seen any relevant records, but had heard that the needle technique in the 13 needles of the ghost gate was too bizarre, even detached from reality, and difficult to convince. Lu Nianjin was sweating profusely and his face was as pale as paper. Finally, he fell to the ground and pointed to Yi Wushuang, who was twirling a silver needle, saying, "There is a divine doctor on Kunlun Mountain, peerless and secretive, who is actually true. What he uses is the legendary 13 needles of the ghost sect that has long been lost. He is truly a peerless divine doctor. A truly unparalleled divine doctor." In an instant, everyone present was shocked, and Lu Nianjin personally certified it. Eyes turned to Yi Wushuang, who was administering the needle, with no more contempt in his eyes than respect and shock. Traditional Chinese medicine practitioners are watching and trying to see something, but ultimately the path is too shallow to discern. "Ha!" The patient suddenly exhaled and woke up. Her complexion gradually returned to normal. "Wake up, the patient is awake." Surprisingly, he really woke up. He's really a miracle doctor. Amazing, even Lu Xingshou was sentenced to death, but he managed to revive him. It's a miracle. Everyone present became excited. They witnessed with their own eyes a life on the brink of death, pulled back by Yi Wushuang from the gates of hell. It was simply a miracle. Yi Wushuang was calm, looking at Bai Bing in the crowd. Bai Bing breathed a sigh of relief and nodded at him, his eyes full of trust. He turned his gaze to Lu Nianjin, who was lying on the ground, and said calmly. "Human, I have saved your life. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise now?" Everyone's gaze turned to Lu Nianjin, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit tense. He Changhe was very happy to see the patient rescued and saved the reputation of the hospital. He came to Yi Wushuang's side and said. "Dr. Yi, your medical skills are unparalleled. It's Lu Xingshou who is out of sight. Lu Xingshou is also the great master of traditional Chinese medicine in Jiangbei. It's not good to spread it. Let's forget it." Yi Wushuang glanced at him and said, "What qualifications do you have to teach me how to do things? He also has a temper. You must act according to your words. I was surrounded by so many people just now, and you didn't say a word for me. Now I'm trying to salvage the situation, but you're pleading for help from Lu Nianjin. You're not qualified enough." He Changhe felt a bit embarrassed and turned his gaze to Bai Bing, hoping she could say something. Bai Bing pretended not to see him, but to her surprise, he walked over and begged in her ear. She could only say. Lu Xingshou represents the authority of the medical community in Jiangbei, and every move is highly regarded. He is also a person who speaks his mind and values reputation. What do you think, Lu Xingshou? Lu Nianjin got up, knelt down, looked up at Yi Wushuang, and said. I, Lu Nianjin, can afford to lose and will definitely not break my promise. It's because I misjudged others, and I shouldn't judge people by their appearance. Yi Wushuang, you can bear the name of a divine doctor. I apologize to you. Sorry, Grandpa. Sorry, Grandpa. Sorry, Grandpa. Everyone present was stunned. I looked at the scene before me in disbelief. This is Lu Nianjin, who is over 60 years old and known as a master of traditional Chinese medicine. Surprisingly, he truly knelt down for a young man and even called out his grandfather 3 times. If this is to be spread, Lu Nianjin will definitely lose his reputation. The crowd was shocked and speechless. Yi Wushuang no longer hesitated and said, All right, get up. He Changhe hurriedly went to help him up, but found that he didn't remember and said. Lu Xingshou. Lu Nianjin pushed him away and looked at Yi Wushuang, saying. Lao He, don't call me that. Call me Holy Hand in front of Dr. Yi. Isn't this a way to break my evil spirit? I don't deserve it. Dr. Yi, today I saw your ancient acupuncture technique, which Mr. Lu admired. He was deeply moved and longed for it. I have been practicing medicine for the first time in my life, and seeing the ancient acupuncture technique is truly divine. I want to learn from Dr. Yi, but I wonder if he would accept me as his disciple. Everyone present was once again shocked. You are the master of traditional Chinese medicine in Jiangbei. Are you going to worship a young man as your teacher? How could this young man be so virtuous? Yi Wushuang remained calm and said, Do you want to be my disciple? I'm sorry, you're not qualified enough. Refused. He rejected Lu Xingshou. Many powerful people want to curry favor with Lu Xingshou. After all, even if you have money and power, you will still have life, age, illness, and death. As a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, Lu Nianjin is naturally the object of flattery among the powerful people. Once you can rely on the giant tree of the land expert, you can walk horizontally in Jiangbei. But he refused. Lu Nianjin's face was a bit disappointed, and he spoke again, saying. I'm sorry for being presumptuous, but I have something to ask for. Would Dr. Yi be willing to listen? Speak up. Chapter 4. Sending you a gift. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I have a patient who has a strange illness that cannot be cured by any means. Lu Nianjin knelt on the ground and looked at him with a pleading gaze, saying, I want to ask Dr. Yi to save her. Besides, I'm very busy now, Yi Wushuang said casually. Immediately squeeze out the crowd. Leave the rest to He Changhe to finish, there won't be any problems. Bai Bing quickly chased out and said, Dr. Yi, the medicine is in the pharmacy. Follow me. These medicines were taken with the help of He Changhe, and Yi Wushuang expressed his intention to use this medicine stove to boil medicine. Father's bone-etching poison penetrates deep into the bone marrow and is very tricky, but it is not difficult for him. Some medicinal herbs are precious and difficult to find, but it can temporarily help his father resume walking. How's the investigation of Guoqingkuan going? Yi Wushuang, who was boiling medicine, casually asked. Bai Bing immediately said, the Guo family is the head of a second-rate family in Jiangbei. In recent years, they have also developed rapidly and have vaguely entered the ranks of first-class families. There must be strong backing behind them, but in such a short period of time, I haven't found out yet. Tonight, Guoqingkuan will go to the Starry City to celebrate the birthday of a small internet celebrity named Yu Xuejiao. I checked a bit and found that Yu Xuejiao is his mistress who was taken care of outside. I need to attend that little internet celebrity's birthday banquet. Can you help me arrange it? Guoqingkuan and his family have to pay a price for everything they have done to his parents. This birthday banquet invited many young gentlemen and ladies, and I was also invited, but I declined. But if you want to go, I can take you along. No need, if you have anything to do, just get busy first. I can solve it myself. Okay, I'll get you an invitation letter later. The medicine has been prepared. Yi Wushuang went home to treat his father. I really feel a bit of it. Dad was surprised and shocked, looking at his wife and son, and said, Wushuang, you really understand medical skills. Yi Wushuang smiled and said, Dad, I will make you walk again. By the way, I won't cook my meal tonight. I have something to go out and some old friends need to meet. Okay, Wushuang, please be careful and remember not to provoke the Guo family. Mom's eyes were filled with indulgence. Night is approaching, and the sun is setting in the west. Yi Wushuang arrived at the most luxurious hotel in Jiangbei, reportedly only accommodating members. Bai Bingming sent an invitation letter and also a membership card. Present your membership card to enter. Take out the invitation letter and show it to the waiter. He glanced at Yi Wushuang, who was dressed in a somewhat ordinary way with some doubts hidden in his eyes, and said, Handsome guy, you're a bit unfamiliar with me. Today's birthday banquet was personally hosted by the head of the second-rate family, Guo Shao of the Guo family. Those who can come are wealthy young masters and young ladies. I've been working here for 3 years, and I basically know everyone. Are you from outside the province? Yi Wushuang was very calm and said, just take it for granted. Go to the 8th floor and gently push the door in. Inside are all handsome men and beautiful women from the younger generation in Jiangbei, dressed in handsome and high-end clothes. The girls are dressed in formal dresses, which are very beautiful. Yi Wushuang seems somewhat out of place and eye-catching here. Groups of people are talking to each other, holding glasses and chatting with each other. Yi Wushuang, are you Yi Wushuang? How could you appear here? A woman wearing a hip-wrap skirt and black high heels, with a tall figure and a silicone face, was shocked to see Yi Wushuang and walked over with an incredulous expression on her face. Sujue. Yi Wushuang recognized her. My ex-girlfriend's best friend once had an affair, and she played a crucial role in it. She had a snobbish eye, and her face was full of plastic. You can all appear here, why can't I be here? Yi Wushuang is very calm. After practicing in Kunlun for 5 years, he is no longer the same as before. His Tao heart is firm and calm like water. Su Yu said, do you know what kind of people are here? Which one is not a son of a privileged class? Do you think it's reasonable for you, a person from the bottom of society, to appear here? Hurry up and leave, don't let Guo Qingquan see you, otherwise you won't be able to leave. You have been missing for 5 years, have you ever returned home? Have you seen your parents' situation? Guo Shao has been looking for you for these 5 years. If you don't leave, you will spend your next life in a wheelchair like your father. Yi Wushuang sneered and said, I came today to ask Guo Qingquan to return everything. Oh, what a big breath. A young man wearing leather shoes, combing his big back, holding a glass of red wine in one hand, and holding a tall and beautiful woman in the other. Unfortunately, he also had a silicone face, and walked over with a proud expression. His eyes were full of disdain, saying. It turned out to be the Yi family boy who had been missing for 5 years. I've been looking for you for 5 years, but you actually brought him to your door yourself. The woman in her arms is today's birthday star Shaowang celebrity Yu Shuejiao, who asked in confusion. Guo Shao, who is this person? Many people present do not know Yi Wushuang, after all, he is not from the same circle. Guo Qingquan sneered and said, this is the boyfriend of the school flower of Jiangnan University 5 years ago. The school flower, I just let her know my identity unintentionally. Looking at my Alipay balance, she just climbed into my bed. She was a bitch, ha ha ha. He looked at Yi Wushuang with a proud and disdainful expression on his face, saying. What's wrong? You've been missing for 5 years, and you're here to seek revenge on me. I'll tell you, that slut wants to marry me. Is she compatible? I'm tired of it, I've kicked her long ago. She's a cold goddess outside, a slut in bed. I have to say, her figure is excellent, and her job is also a thief. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The people next to them also laughed. Laughing recklessly and loudly is a mockery from the higher echelons of society towards the grassroots. They thought that Yi Wushuang would feel ashamed and angry, but they found that Yi Wushuang's face was calm like water, without any emotional fluctuations, quietly watching them. Guo Qingquan also felt something was wrong. He shouldn't have reacted like this and continued. Kid, don't you even have the courage to refute now? How did you have the courage to come here? How did you have the courage to appear in front of me? Yi Wushuang said calmly, I'm here to celebrate the birthday of the birthday star and also to give you a gift. Guo Qingquan frowned and said, give me a gift. What gift? Yi Wushuang took out a rectangular wooden box and handed it over. He had some doubts, so he took it over and opened it, while others also leaned in to take a look. Knife. The wooden box opened and inside was a short knife, very sharp. Guo Qingquan's eyes flashed with a fierce expression, and he angrily said. What do you mean? Others took a cold breath, knowing that Guo Shao was going to get angry. Guo Shao became angry and even half of Jiangbei trembled. The young man in front of me must go out sideways today, and whether he can survive is still unknown. Yi Wushuang remained calm and said, there is a partition, and there is a gift below. Guo Qingquan opened it again, and inside lay a plaque that read. The position of Guo Qingquan deserves eternal death. Pop. Guo Qingquan was a bit scared and slammed the plaque to the ground, so the others could see it clearly. This. Spirit card. Isn't this a curse on Guo Shao? Is this person really here to retaliate against Guo Shao? Little mole ant also wants to shake the elephant. It's beyond our measure. The glow of fireflies dares to compete with the bright moon, and he will die tragically. I bet he can't walk out of the starry city and see tomorrow's sun. Most of the people present were rich childs and eldest daughters, as well as the little sisters of the birthday star Little Net celebrity. They naturally knew how terrible the consequences would be if they offended Guo Shao. Su Yu looked at Yi Wushuang, sighed, and quickly said. Yi Wushuang, kneel down quickly and beg Gua to spare you a way of life, otherwise you will die. Yi Wushuang sneered a few times and said, kneel down. He can't bear it, Gua Qingkuan, this knife is for you to commit suicide, and this spiritual card is prepared for you. Are you going to do it yourself or will I help you? Chapter 5. He's crazy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the birthday banquet, there were young talents from Jiangbei, as well as many well-known internet celebrities. They all looked like watching a play. In their eyes, Yi Wushuang was already a dead person. But it was strange that Yi Wushuang remained calm as water, not panicked at all, and still spoke wildly. Ha ha ha, this is the funniest international joke I've ever heard. Gua Qingkuan laughed angrily and looked up and down at Yi Wushuang, full of contempt and disdain, saying. People are valued for their self-awareness, but you don't. You are arrogant and arrogant. A mole ant also wants to brush their presence in front of me. Tonight, I will make you bleed with moonlight. Yi Wushuang picked up a nearby glass of wine, took a sip, and said, how do you plan to do it? Do you want to do it yourself? Gua Qingkuan took 2 steps back and said, I don't want to get my hands dirty. Yu Guang looked at a strong man in a suit next to him and said sternly. Zhang Hu, depose him for me. The strong man Zhang Hu approached and confronted Yi Wushuang, with a national face, slightly long hair, a scar on his left face, and a fierce expression. Coupled with this moment, his anger ignited. Invisibly, there is a powerful aura enveloping all directions. Others exclaimed in surprise. Zhang Hu, the leader of the underground world in Jiangbei, has a nickname called Xia Dao Hu. He is one of the 3 tigers in the underground world, and his hands are stained with a lot of blood. He personally takes action, and this ant will suffer even more. It is estimated that even if he doesn't die, he will have to peel off his skin. Stripped skin. You underestimate Dao Hu too much. I don't know how many undead souls he has under his command. This person will die, and he probably won't be able to withstand 3 punches. Shadow Tiger is the king of the underground world, sweeping across the entire Jiangbei region without anyone to beat. Many people have changed their names and expressions upon hearing of him, and it's only Guo Xiao who can invite him to take action. What did I see? This person hasn't finished speaking yet. Bang! With a loud sound, the whole person was stunned and looked at Zhang Hu's head in disbelief, with bright red blood flowing out. That was when Yi Wushuang casually picked up a bottle of Maotai and smashed it down. A sudden blow. Not to mention that others were caught off guard, even Zhang Hu did not expect the other party to suddenly take action. He was completely bewildered and reached out to touch the blood flowing from his head. He glanced at it, his anger skyrocketed, and his gaze turned to the ashtray next to him, holding it in his hand. Kid, you're looking for death. Slam it hard, targeting Yi Wushuang's head. Ah! A scream spread throughout the venue, and a figure quickly flew horizontally, smashing into the crowd and knocking down many good wines. Everyone looked around. I saw Zhang Hu spitting blood from his mouth, with a fierce and pale face. He struggled to get up, but could never stand up again. Everyone was stunned. Take a deep breath. I must have opened it in the wrong way. This is the Xia Dao Hu, claiming to have cut through the entire Jiangbei area with a long sword, but surprisingly. Someone knocked it down. Is Xia Dao Hu so vulnerable to a single blow? Who the hell is this person? Countless people were shocked, seeing Zhang Hu with a fierce face and wanting to get up, and then looking at Yi Wushuang standing in place, calm as water, with a puzzled expression on his face. They can't even see clearly how Yi Wushuang acted. Gua Qingkuan recovered from his shock and was shocked. He pointed at Yi Wushuang and said. How did you do it? Yi Wushuang walked forward slowly, his mouth slightly raised, and said. Now it's your turn. Guo Qingkuan suddenly became nervous and took a few steps back, saying, Yi Wushuang, please don't come over. You'd better think carefully about the consequences of hurting me. You can't afford it, you can't afford it. Yi Wushuang glanced at the spirit card and short knife on the ground in his spare time. With a gentle kick, the short knife bounced up, held in his hand, and continued walking towards Guo Qingkuan. I can't afford it. You disabled my father in a wheelchair and framed my mother into prison. I didn't expect you to be so cruel. I have disappeared from your sight, and you still won't let go of my family. There is cause and effect in the world, and your retribution is mine. I will make you repay it 100 times. Don't worry, I won't let you die immediately. I will make your life worse than death. His voice was resounding and powerful, constantly echoing in the birthday banquet hall, echoing in everyone's ears. Suddenly, a man stood in front of Guo Qingkuan and loudly said, Yi Wushuang, you injured him. Can you bear the revenge of the Guo family tomorrow? Even if your parents were hurt, they are still alive. If you dare to take action, your parents will definitely not live for 3 days. Yi Wushuang looked at the man in front of him, not anxious or slow, and asked, Who are you? Guo Qingkuan is definitely not the only one who harms his parents. He wants to retaliate against all those involved, and now he has to wait for those people to take the initiative to step forward. This is the first one, and there should also be participation. Guo family, Guo Qingliang. The man was full of pride and loudly said his name, continuing. If you want revenge, come at me. Your mother's imprisonment was done by me. Ah! Before the words could be finished, the whole person had already flown backwards and let out a scream. Guo Qingliang's chest had a blood hole that spewed out a large amount of blood, and the pungent smell of blood immediately filled the air. Yi Wushuang stood in place, his indifferent eyes fixed on the front. The short knife in his hand was already stained with blood, and blood was dripping down. At this moment, the temperature of the surrounding air suddenly dropped by more than 10 degrees, as if it was winter. Only that scream pierced through the cold sky. Boom! Guo Qingliang smashed onto the pillar, spitting out blood from his mouth. Alung! Guo Qingkuan glanced at his cousin, incredulous, and shouted. Someone, come quickly. Quick alarm, alarm. He's crazy, he's crazy. He panicked. Without the previous arrogance, there is more panic. Looking at others with a pleading gaze. Someone has already called the police. He approached a young man and said, Bai Xiao, help me. This is your Bai family hotel. If I have an accident here, you will also be in trouble, won't you? The young man pondered for a few seconds, took a step forward, looked at the indifferent Yi Wushuang, and said. Yi Wushuang, right. 5 years ago, I heard of Guo Qingkuan showing off in front of us, but I didn't expect him to take action against your parents, which I didn't notice. However, even so, you still need to think clearly about one problem. The social class, your power alone cannot compete with the entire Guo family. Even if you can fight again, you cannot compete with power. Now that you hit someone, you're happy, but what about tomorrow? Your parents. Where are your relatives and friends? Can they escape the Guo family's revenge? Don't try to be too strong for a moment's pleasure, but your family and friends will suffer because of you. Yi Wushuang's indifference did not show any restraint and he asked, Who are you? The young man helped his rimless glasses and said, Bai Zhe from the Bai family, you're not in the high-rise, maybe you haven't heard of me, but you should have heard of my sister Bai Bing. First-class family Bai Jia Bai Bing. Yi Wushuang looked at him without any easing, just wanting to confirm. Yes. Bai Zhe nodded and said, Actually, I'm not bad either. It's just that my sister's fame is too great, so I can only act as a supporting role. My sister called. The phone suddenly rings and is immediately connected. His expression froze slightly, his gaze occasionally turning towards Yi Wushuang, somewhat incredulous. Hanging up the phone, looking at Yi Wushuang with a smile on his face, he gently bent down with a respectful expression and said. Dr. Yi, as my sister said, the police won't come. You can make it up, and if there are any problems, my Bai family will keep it safe. The people present were all confused. What is the situation? Bai Xiao's attitude has changed 180 times. Chapter 6. This is a ruthless person. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The sudden change in Bai Zai's attitude surprised everyone present. Guo Qingkuan was even more surprised, thinking that he had heard the wrong thing. He tentatively asked. Bai Xiao, you're not mistaken, are you? Do your Bai family want to protect him? Bai Zai came to Yi Wushuang's side and glanced at everyone present, saying. The people present are all descendants of the big families in Jiangbei and some internet celebrities and 18th-tier celebrities. Listen to me carefully. He, Yi Wushuang, is Bai Zabao. If anyone dares to harm him, I will make him unable to see the sun tomorrow. His gaze fixed on Guo Qingkuan and he continued, even you, don't touch him. The people present looked bewildered. A young woman stepped forward and asked, Bai Zai, although your Bai family is a first-class family, there are more than just your Bai family in Jiangbei. Are you speaking too arrogantly? Bai Zai looked at her and said firmly, your Zhong family is also a first-class family, but if you harm him, our Bai family will do everything to retaliate against your Zhong family. The woman from the Zhong family was slightly stunned and couldn't help but take a few more glances at Yi Wushuang. It's unbelievable that Bai Bing could personally call and do everything possible to protect this person. Upon closer inspection, one did not notice anything special. Is it possible to fight? There are many bodyguards from the Bai family who can fight, which is probably not the reason. Bai Zai, what is his relationship with your Bai family? Bai Zai glanced at Yi Wushuang and said, a highly skilled traditional Chinese medicine practitioner can cure my grandfather's illness. The woman from the Zhong family looked at Yi Wushuang again, frowning slightly and saying. Bai Zai, it's not that I'm hitting you. Lu Nianjin, known as a master of traditional Chinese medicine, couldn't cure your grandfather. How could you believe he could? Bai Zai said, it's not that I believe, it's my sister who believes him, I believe my sister. Bai Bingxin. The woman from the Zhong family sneered a few times and said, she's not a talented businesswoman with exceptional intelligence. She's pursuing Einstein's intelligence. She's being fooled by someone who doesn't know her background. She did not conceal any doubts about Yi Wushuang, which came from the confidence of the first-class family and also from the upper class's disregard for the grassroots society. At this moment, another young man walked out and looked at Yi Wushuang, saying. Bai Xiao, as a descendant of the medicine king, I want to tell you that he cannot cure your grandfather's illness. If you don't believe me, I can prove it to you now. Bai Zai looked at Yi Wushuang and believed in his sister Bai Bing. However, seeing Yi Wushuang so young, he also had some doubts and asked. Dr. Yi, can you really cure my grandfather's illness? Yi Wushuang glanced at him and nodded. He asked again, would you like to have a fight with him? I don't mean I don't believe you, I just want these people to shut up. Bored. Yi Wushuang dropped 2 words and ignored him no longer. His figure flashed past him and he had come to Guo Qingkuan, waving his sword. Puff. The sound of blood shooting fiercely. Guo Qingkuan's right chest was pierced by a short knife, and blood flowed out, soaking his clothes. Ah! The girls present screamed in fear and retreated one after another. Even Guo Qingkuan's lover Yu Xuejiao stepped back in fear, her face full of fear. A little blood splattered onto Yi Wushuang's face and lips, and he licked it and said. You have to pay the price for everything you have done. After finishing speaking, he kicked fiercely. Crack. The sound of bones breaking. Ah! Guo Qingkuan knelt down and let out a pig-like scream, his face pale as paper. Others were stunned. Including women from the Baizhe and Zhong families, this is a ruthless person. Baizhe couldn't help but say something. Pushing and kicking at this moment, a group of security guards rushed in and were startled by the scene in front of them. Their eyes instantly focused on Wushuang. Guo Xiao. The security guard rushed up immediately. Stop! Baizhe shouted loudly. All the security guards stopped and looked at him respectfully, saying, Bai Xiao. Baizhe glanced at Wushuang and casually looked at the security guards. He gently waved his hand and said, You don't need to worry about things here, go out. Yes. This is the hotel of the Bai family. Bai Xiao spoke up and they didn't want to take care of it. The people present were all surprised and dared not speak loudly, but were whispering. It's said that a dog jumps over a wall in a hurry. This person is probably crazy and does things without considering the consequences. This kind of person is the most terrifying. Barefoot people are not afraid of wearing shoes, while lunatics are the craziest and least provoking. Anyway, they have a cheap life, unlike us. Low life. The Bai family is protecting him. If they leverage the power of the Bai family, they may rise up in the future. It's impossible, but I learned from some sources that the Guo family has risen so quickly in recent years with the support of a big family from the provincial capital. What is the Bai family? They are discussing one after another. Wushuang raised his foot and stepped down fiercely. Crack. Guo Qingquan's other foot was stepped on and broken. Let out a heart-wrenching scream. Wushuang, I won't let you go. Ah. Wushuang, if you have the ability, you can kill me, you can kill me. As long as I'm still alive, I'll definitely kill your whole family. He is in pain, but he is not convinced. Verbal threat, burning with anger, extremely angry. He, kill my whole family. Wushuang sneered, as if looking at a clown jumping off a beam, saying. Once I return, I will sweep away all enemies, I will not let you die so easily, I will slowly torture you. Raise your foot again and give a fierce kick. Ah! This sound was extremely brutal, and both men and women present instinctively took a cold breath, while unconsciously covering the crotch with their hands. They looked at Guo Qingquan's crotch with their eyes, and blood flowed out. This is to cut off children and have no descendants. Guo Qingquan was in excruciating pain, rolling on the ground, covering his crotch. Blood flowed from his thighs and between his fingers Wushuang reached out to his mouth and spat out a golden insect, throwing it onto Guo Qingquan's face. The insect quickly wriggled and crawled into his mouth, entering. Goo. It's actually a goo insect. The young man who wanted to compete with Wushuang in medical skills before was somewhat shocked and scared, constantly exclaiming and taking a few steps back. And everyone's focus is on Wushuang. Wushuang did not pay attention to Guo Qingliang, but walked up to Guo Qingliang, who had already lost control of urine, and watched him tremble with fear on his face. Don't kill me. I was wrong, I was wrong. Please spare me, I am willing to compensate. As long as I have it, I can give it to you. Guo Qingliang was extremely fearful and constantly pleaded, like a toad dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy, completely different from his previous arrogance. However, Wushuang remained indifferent and said. I still like your towering and nosed appearance from the beginning, you framed my mother into prison, and your cost is better than him. You can die. After speaking, raise your hand. The blood on the short knife is still dripping, and the smell of blood is very pungent. Wave it. Puff. The short knife pierced directly into the back, pierced through the ribs, and struck the heart, unleashing a massive amount of blood. How many people were hiding in a corner, sweating profusely, watching a fresh life being killed like this? The bloody scene made some people vomit directly. He's crazy. He's crazy. Killed. He killed. Chapter 7. Only divine doctors can treat. You are listening at novel full.audio. Panic. Everyone present panicked. Especially Guo Qingkuan, watching such a bloody scene. His legs were kicked off, his pants were kicked to pieces, he had no children or grandchildren, and at least he was still alive. Yi Wushuang, you. Are you crazy? Suyu vomited one after another, but still mustered the courage to speak up. When Yi Wushuang turned around and looked at her, she instinctively shuddered a few times, took a few steps back, and dared not speak again. Yi Wushuang stood up and scanned the crowd, but no one dared to speak again. In the end, his gaze fixed on Guo Qingkuan and he said, I have placed a poison on you, and within 7 days, if I do not receive my antidote, your internal organs will be devoured by the poison insects, and you will be in excruciating pain. Within 3 days, I want you, the Guo family, to double the compensation for my parents and publicly apologize on Jiangbei TV. If you can't do it, then the Guo family will have no need to exist. After speaking, he turned around and walked towards the gate. The crowd who held their breath breathed a sigh of relief. Bai Zhe looked at Guo Qingliang, who was on the brink of death, lying in a pool of blood with almost no hope of survival, and said, Dr. Zhang, please check their condition. The young doctor hurriedly went to check the injuries of all the wounded before, frowning and turning pale. He kept shaking his head and saying, a knife pierced through the heart and couldn't be saved anymore. Guo Xiao's lower body is broken, rotten, and can only be transplanted from someone else, but it is also difficult. At least there is no precedent in the world. His knee bones have been shattered, and he has reached an incurable point. His heart also has a goo bug, which is the most deadly. It is said that goo bug will have both child and mother goo. Even if it is thousands of miles away, the mother goo can control the child goo's actions with just one thought. It can be said that Guo Xiao's life and death have been controlled by that person. Zhang Hu. His 5 organs and 6 viscera were severely shaken, 5 sternum bones were broken, and qi and blood were stagnant. He needs to be rushed for treatment, otherwise he will also die. Every person's injury is said to make one sweat hard and unbelievable. A young man looked in the direction of the door and loudly said, the Guo family will never let him go. Halfway through, I dare not say more because Bai Zhe is staring at him. Bai Zhe's gaze scanned the crowd and said, everyone, something unpleasant happened today. I hope you know and I know, and you cannot spread it. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. After speaking, go out. The young man spoke again and said, Guo Xiao, I will definitely stand on the united front with you. The Bai family is not the only first-class family in Jiangbei, it's simply deceiving people too much. Kill. I want Yi Wushuang's whole family to die. Guo Qingkuan was extremely angry, almost roaring in anger. The woman from the Zhong family glanced and turned around to leave. Regarding this matter, it has not spread quickly, only some members of big families know about it. The people of the Guo family became very angry and expressed their intention to erase Yi Wushuang and his family. In the hall of the Guo family, the atmosphere here is very tense, with the high-level members of the Guo family sitting here. A young man was explaining the story without any concealment. Guo Qingkuan's father, Guo Jialin, squinted his eyes and a hint of killing intent flashed through them. He said in a low voice, even a grassroots commoner dares to make mistakes below, and even dares to make us apologize to the TV station. It's wishful thinking, and even a small ant wants to climb to the sky. With just a little skill, it dares to ride on the head of my Guo family, beyond our capacity. Looking at a middle-aged man, he said, third brother, you and Kunlun did all those things back then. I'll leave this matter to you. I'll give you 3 days to completely wipe out this family of 3. The third younger brother stood up and said, big brother, it won't take 3 days. Today is enough. The tiger with the sword was severely injured, and the tiger on the mountain will definitely come out. I'll go and see how he can compete with the kings in the underground world in terms of skills. Guo Jialin nodded and looked at another middle-aged woman, saying, Second sister, I was originally planning to entertain you well. I made you laugh. Have you received the Xiangshan project recently from the Wang family? The second sister took a sip of tea and said, Big brother, we are a family, and there's nothing funny about it. It's just the situation with our two nephews. What about you, Wushuang? Do you need my help? As long as you speak up, there's nothing that can't be solved by the people of the Rihe Wang family. Even if Bai Bing sees the Wang family, she has to retreat. Ermaid joined the Wang family in Rihe City, which is a big family and ranks high in the entire Jiangnan province. She is more than enough to deal with the first-class families in Jiangbei. The Bai family is even more at ease. The rise of the Guo family over the years has been greatly aided by the Rihe Wang family. Guo Jialin nodded and said. Professor Lu Xingshou and Professor Lin have been watching. These two are great masters in the medical field in Jiangbei, and they should have nothing to do with it. The words have just finished. Lu Nianjin and a white-haired man, wearing a white coat, walked in quickly. Guo Jialin quickly asked, How are you? How are my son and nephew? The two doctors remained silent for a moment and exchanged a glance. Lu Nianjin spoke up and said, Mr. Guo Qingliang has passed away. You mourn. What? You. You are the best traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine in Jiangbei, even you are helpless. Guo Jialin's face was pale, a little incredulous, and he said. What about my son? How about it? Another doctor said, his legs are weak, and he can no longer walk normally. His lower body is rotten, and he won't be able to have sex in the future. There is still a living creature in his body, Mr. Lu. Can you tell me? Lu Nianjin immediately said, that's a type of goo insect, which is relatively rare and I don't know much about it, but this living creature may take your son's life at any time. What? This. Guo Jialin panicked. Although he still has a daughter, his son was able to pass on the family line and was also trained as the future successor of the Guo family. Is that all that ruined? Professor Lin, Lu Xingshou, can't you all cure my son? The two remained silent for a while. Lu Nianjin said, recently, I met a divine doctor. Has Mr. Guo ever heard of a divine doctor on Kunlun Mountain who is peerless and secretive? Guo Jialin looked confused and shook his head. He continued, you should have heard of the illness of the old man from the Bai family, haven't you? Guo Jialin nodded and said, it is said that his life is not long. Lu Nianjin said, no, Bai Bing has found a peerless divine doctor. Mr. Bai's health has improved, and I even went to see him today. I'm afraid the only one who can cure your son now is this divine doctor. Find him, bring him to me, no matter how much money he wants, I will give him. Guo Jialin saw the dawn and immediately said. Lu Xingshou, please, I can give you 10 million now. Lu Nianjin said, it's not about money. To show sincerity, you have to personally invite him. This person has a bad temper. I invited him before, but he was rejected. I'm willing to invite you again. Okay, then I'll wait for your message. At this moment, Yi Wushuang is giving injections to his father at home. Mom is cooking in the kitchen, and the fragrance wafts out from the kitchen, filling the 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. Wushuang, how about meeting your friend tonight? The family upheaval hasn't changed your friend's attitude towards you, has it? Father Yi felt a slight numbness in his legs and looked at his son who was giving him injections with doting eyes. Yi Wushuang smiled and said, those guys are still as annoying as ever. Dad, someone gave me a house, why don't we move tomorrow? Who could be so generous to give you a house? You wouldn't have done anything illegal, would you? Father Yi clearly didn't believe it and was also worried. Yi Wushuang smiled bitterly and said, Dad, don't you believe me? Just then, the phone rang. Dad, I'll answer the phone. Arriving at the balcony and connecting, he said, "Who is there?" "Dr. Yi, I'm Lu Nianjin. I'm really sorry to bother you so late. I have something to talk about, but I don't have time to chat with you." Okay, I have a very urgent patient here who would like to ask you." "I'm not available. It's from the Guo family, as Mr. Guo said, the diagnosis fee is up to you." "Guo's family. I'll go find you now." Chapter 8. My name is Wushuang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In front of the gate of the Guo family villa, there stood 3 people. Lu Nianjin, Professor Lin, and Guo Jialin, waiting under the moonlight, their eyes occasionally looking towards the road ahead. "Lu Xingshou, why don't I send someone to pick it up?" Guo Jialin asked. Lu Xingshou waved his hand and said, "I have had contact with him before. He said he will come on his own, and when he sees him, try to speak as little as possible. Everything belongs to me." Guo Jialin quickly nodded and said, "Please." Professor Lin next to him looked a bit sinister and said, "Old Lu, there aren't many people who can get your attitude and personally greet you at the door. I want to see what kind of divine is this. Even Mr. Bai's illness can be cured, and how can we treat Guo Qingkuan's thorny injury?" Lu Nianjin thought for a moment and said, "I have seen his ancient acupuncture, which is supernatural and mysterious. It has the attitude of a man of life and death, flesh and bone. You are a Western doctor, and you don't know the magic of the ancient acupuncture. He is a peerless doctor invited by Bai Bing who visited Kunlun Mountain 3 times and knelt in the rainstorm. Wait and see." Professor Lin looked incredulous and even sneered, saying, "Ancient needle technique. A peerless divine doctor. Your evaluation is really not average high, it can even catch up with the holy hands of the country." Just at this moment, a truck came slowly, seemingly pulling something, but it was tightly wrapped. The 3 of them were all curious about how a truck came over. Until they saw Yi Wushuang getting off the car. "Is this coming by truck?" Guo Jialin was also stunned for a moment. It's understandable that experts have some quirks that ordinary people can't understand. "Hurry up and welcome them," said Lu Nianjin, with a smiling face on her face. "Dr. Yi, welcome to your visit. I am honored that you have given me face." Guo Jialin and Professor Lin who followed were a bit stunned, looking at Yi Wushuang, who was sharp-edged and young and handsome. "Lu Xingshou, is this a divine doctor? Is it too young?" Guo Jialin raised his own doubts. Lu Nianjin glared at him and said, "The first time I saw Dr. Yi, I was like you. Don't judge people by their appearance. Dr. Yi, let me introduce you to Guo Jialin, the head of the Guo family." Professor Lin next to him had a contemptuous expression on his face, shaking his head repeatedly. He had doubts about the so-called divine doctor, but seeing such a young age, he was completely untrustworthy and said, "Mr. Guo, Lao Lu, I'm tired. I'll go back to sleep first. After speaking, leave directly." Yi Wushuang glanced at Guo Jialin. It was obvious that the head of this self-righteous second-rate family did not know him, or rather disdained to know him. "Mr. Guo, I have rules for treating illnesses. If you can't do it, I won't treat you." Guo Jialin immediately said, "As long as you can cure my son, money is not a problem. Just speak up and everything is not a problem." "Okay, I'll say it then." Yi Wushuang raised the corner of his mouth. "Let's go inside and talk." Guo Jialin warmly invited him in. Yi Wushuang walked in without hesitation. Although the night was already deep, there were still many people in the Guo family who didn't sleep. They were all high-level officials and didn't even know small people like Yi Wushuang. When they saw him, their eyes questioned, but the head of the family didn't say anything, so they didn't say anything. Yi Wushuang took a sip of tea and said, "My master taught me medical skills to help the world by hanging a teapot and setting rules for me. The first rule is not to treat corrupt officials, the second rule is not to treat social worms, the third rule is not to treat those who harm the people, the fourth rule is not to treat those who bully others, and the fifth rule is not to treat those who are ignorant, filial, and disloyal. Master Gua, did the patient violate one of them? Gua Jialin was stunned for a moment. Can I say it's a crime? Resolutely shaking his head, he said. My son is a law-abiding, loyal and filial child. He will inherit the entire Gua family's industry in the future and also contribute to the economy of Jiangbei. He has not violated your rules. Yi Wushuang gave a sinister smile at the corner of his mouth and said, How did he get sick? He's in the room, can you go take a look? Yi Wushuang looked at Lu Nianjin and immediately informed him of his condition. Master Gua, can you tell me how his injury was caused? This. Gua Jialin was a bit hoarse. A middle-aged woman next to her couldn't bear to look any longer and said, Lu Xingshou, is this the divine doctor you brought? I respect you, I don't want to say anything unpleasant, but this person hasn't seen my nephew yet, so he's making some rules here. I see that he's young, with a proud face, and doesn't have any real skills. He even asks various irrelevant questions after seeing a doctor, and I seriously doubt his ability now. Lu Nianjin also had some hesitation. He believed that Yi Wushuang's medical skills were unparalleled in the world, but you should at least take a look at the patients first. Yi Wushuang still sat here calmly drinking tea and said. Master Gua, since you don't want to say it, let me guess. After a moment of contemplation, he continued. 5 years ago, your son Gua Qingkuan used various means and joined forces with multiple people to destroy an ordinary family, disabled Yi cheating, and still sits in a wheelchair. He falsely accused Zhang Gili of embezzlement of public funds, imprisoned her, and was later exonerated before being released from prison. He did all this because he had a crush on someone else's girlfriend and wanted to destroy their family. What he suffered today was caused by Yi Wushuang, the son of Yi cheating. At this point, the people of the Gua family looked at the person in front of them in shock. Lu Nianjin was also surprised, especially when she heard the name Yi Wushuang, she immediately understood. No wonder when he heard it was the Gua family, Dr. Yi immediately agreed to come over, not because his face was big enough. Yi Wushuang ignored their gaze and continued to say. If I guess correctly, not only Gua Qingkuan was beaten today, but also someone named Gua Qingliang. This person should have died. What kind of person are you? Gua Jialin squinted his eyes and a cold light flashed through, staring at him and asking. Yi Wushuang still sat, took a sip of tea, and said. Do you know why Gua Qingliang died? Because he participated in the persecution of the Yi cheating family. May I ask, Lord Gua, did you also participate? Glancing at everyone present, he asked. Everyone present, who participated? Who the hell are you? The middle-aged woman's gaze was somewhat evasive, staring at him angrily. Seeing that he didn't answer, she looked at Lu Nianjin and asked. Lu Xingshou, who is he? Lu Nianjin's eyebrows furrowed tightly. He didn't expect that Dr. Yi and the Gua family had such a connection, and now he doesn't know how to answer. Yi Wushuang remained calm and said, I am the son of Yi cheating. My name is Yi Wushuang, and I fought against those two people from your Gua family. Just admit it so straightforwardly. Taking out his phone, he dialed the phone and said. Bring it in. Everyone was shocked and at the same time unaware of what was happening. You are. You dare to take the initiative to bring you here. Gua Jialin took a few steps back, pointed at him, and shouted loudly. Someone, come on, kill him to death. No, I want to break his limbs and sever his entire body's meridians. I want to make him feel worse than death. Quickly, a few bodyguards arrived, guarding the Gua family behind them and staring at Yi Wushuang. Quickly, inform the third party that Yi Wushuang is here and let him bring the mountain tiger. At this moment, the butler suddenly came in and said. Master, it's not good anymore. Many people got off the big truck at the door, and several coffins were carried down from the truck and placed in the courtyard. Coffin. The Guo family were all shocked and looked outside, walking out. 9 coffins are neatly arranged in the courtyard, facing the entrance of the living room. Chapter 9. Dr. Yi, I protect you. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The moonlight caresses the earth gently, with a hint of coldness in its tenderness. Under the moonlight, 9 coffins lay in the courtyard of the Guo family villa, facing the hall, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit eerie. The Guo family went out and saw the scene before them, burning with anger, instantly reaching the limit. Even the little ants dare to dig soil on my Guo family. If this matter is not dealt with thoroughly, how can my Guo family establish a foothold in Jiangbei in the future? A middle-aged man spoke coldly and turned to look into the hall. Yi Wushuang still sat there drinking tea, slowly got up, walked over, and said calmly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big gift for you. As I said, within 3 days, the TV station will publicly apologize and offer double compensation to my family. If you can't do it, you can lie down in the coffin. Guo Qingliang is just the beginning, it's your turn next. Guo Jialan's angry lips were twitching and he said. Get him for me. More than 10 bodyguards rushed forward. Bang bang bang, shadows flew horizontally, bodyguards smashed into all directions, blood filled the air, and screams came in waves. In an instant, all the bodyguards lay on the ground groaning in pain. Can you fight so well? The Guo family was stunned. They heard that Yi Wushuang is very capable of fighting, but they didn't expect to be so skilled. Many of these bodyguards have also served in the military and are well trained in their daily lives, possessing certain skills. Yi Wushuang's gaze scanned the crowd and said. Master Guo, there isn't much time left for you. Guo Jialan's face was solemn as he pondered. But a voice came from beside, angry and laughing, saying. Yi Wushuang, do you know what's the most useless thing in this world? Yi Wushuang doesn't speak. He continued, that's just martial arts. Do you think this is a martial arts TV drama? Martial arts are the best in the world. If you can fight, can you be more powerful than firearms and shells? Yi Wushuang's figure flashed, making it impossible to see clearly in the moonlight. When he saw it again, he was already standing in front of him and holding a silver needle against his neck. Do you think it's useless? I bet your bullets are not as fast as mine, why don't you give it a try? The middle-aged man looked a bit nervous, but after a while, he gradually calmed down and said. You have already taken a life, and the laws of the country will not spare you. The police will soon find you. If I die, you will only be able to spend the rest of your life in prison. Once you enter prison, your family and friends will not even be eligible to go to prison, but will go to hell. Puff. Before he could finish speaking, his head had already left his shoulders and was thrown high. The bright red blood shot out and scattered in the moonlight, so I got catching and bloody. Jushu. Old 4. Ah see. The Guo family exclaimed in amazement, never expecting this person to be so crazy that he would kill someone with just one word of disagreement. What they are most afraid of is this kind of harmless thing. They took several steps back, their expressions tense, their eyes fixed on the thrown head, which fell to the ground. The headless body fell, and blood was flowing continuously. The silver needle in Yi Wushuang's hand was very thin and stained with blood. He took out a cloth and wiped it off, saying. I, Yi Wushuang, did what I said, and this is the second one. After speaking, he turned around and headed towards the gate. At this moment, a group of people appeared at the gate, led by the third member of the Guo family and the underground world leader, Shang Shanhu. Immediately surround Yi Wushuang, each holding a knife with sharp edges, furrowed brows, and a murderous intent, staring at Yi Wushuang as if an eagle were staring at its prey. Just wait for a command. Guo, the head of the family, hurriedly walked over and said, Shang Shanhu, this is the person who injured the sword tiger. This person has very good skills, so be careful. The mountain tiger stared at Yi Wushuang for a while and said, young man. Is it practicing family skills? There are 3 fierce tigers in the underground world of Jiangbei, namely the Xia Dao tiger, the Shang Shan tiger, and the Yu Mian tiger. They are ruthless and skilled, sweeping the entire underground world. Now that the tiger has been beaten to pieces by Yi Wushuang, another mountain tiger has arrived. With the lesson of Dao Hu, he didn't take it lightly and asked. Where did your teacher come from? Yi Wushuang was too lazy to pay attention to him and said, either get out of here, or I'll beat you down. I'll give you 30 seconds to consider. The third member of the Guo family urged, why bother with him? Kill him. Don't touch him. A voice came from afar. The mountain tiger furrowed its brow, and its anger instantly dissipated by half. It turned around to look. By the moonlight, I could see clearly that the person was a bald man, probably around 50 years old, with an extremely strong aura. Accompanied by him is a stunning woman. Bai Bing. The mountain tiger walked over quickly with respect and said. Ba Yi, why did you come? Bai Bing quickly walked through the crowd and came to Yi Wushuang, asking with a concerned expression. Dr. Yi, are you okay? Are you unharmed? Yi Wushuang remained calm and said, these people can't hurt me yet. Actually, you shouldn't use them. Upon hearing this, Bai Bing breathed a sigh of relief. Although her grandfather's illness had improved, it had not yet fully recovered. She must ensure the safety of Dr. Yi. Glancing around, he saw 9 coffins and a body from a different location, with blood flowing continuously. He said. Guo Jiashu is dead. According to what his younger brother Bai Zai told him about the Starry City after returning, Guo Qingliang should have died, and now another person has died. Anyway, his Bai family must be suppressed. If they can suppress Guo Qingliang, they must also suppress Guo Jiashu. Dr. Yi, don't worry, I'll protect you. Yi Wushuang naturally understood that Bai Bingbao was trying to save his grandfather. She looked at the bald man and said, this is Gongba, the true owner of the Jiangbei underground world, also known as Ba Yi. The tiger you injured, the mountain tiger you injured, and the jade-faced tiger you haven't seen before are all generals under Ba Ye's command. They are usually the 3 fierce tigers who deal with things outside. Ba Yi hides behind the scenes and the world is not aware of them. Gongba looked at Yi Wushuang and said, kid, you're not afraid. You dare to kill people from the Guo family and even injure a tiger. If it weren't for Miss Bai's intervention, I would definitely have deposed you. Guo Jialin walked over and said, Master Ba, help me kill him. I'll give you 1 billion yuan, and I'll offer you the industry you're interested in with both hands. Gong Ba was a little moved when he heard the words. 1 billion yuan is a certain temptation for him, but more importantly, that industry has always been what he wants. Bai Bing hesitated and quickly said, Ba Yi, our cooperation has been going on for decades. I invited Dr. Yi back to treat my grandfather's illness. My grandfather once saved your life, and I must protect him. Gong Ba hesitated a bit and looked at Yi Wushuang, saying. Young man, I appreciate your courage. This matter involves all 3 of us. I have a proposal, let's conduct a competition using the areas that each party is best at. How about that? Yi Wushuang glanced at him without caring and said, bored, why should I listen to you? I have my own way. The people present were all shocked. This is the true king of the Jiangbei underground world, who dares to speak to him like this. A slight mistake may harm one's family. Even Gongba didn't expect this person to lose face and said, young people, with some skills and medical skills, don't mean much in this world. Listen to me, I can help you get what you want. Of course, you have to rely on your own efforts to understand your relationship with the Guo family. Don't you want to help your parents seek revenge? This is a good choice. Yi Wushuang still disdains it. He has his own ideas and methods, and there is no need to follow his people's methods. Seeing this, Bai Bing whispered, Dr. Yi, why don't you first listen to Ba Ye's thoughts? Yi Wushuang nodded. Chapter 10. 3 Competitions. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. How about we have 3 rounds of competition, betting on the areas that the 3 parties are good at? Gong Ba already had a plan in his heart and looked at Yi Wushuang, slowly saying, I heard that you are a divine doctor invited by Bai Bing from Kunlun Mountain. In terms of medical skills, I will invite a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner to compete in medical skills. Yi Wushuang raised the corner of his mouth and said, If I win, what should I do? Gong Ba said, If you win, I guarantee that the Guo family will not seek revenge against you for these 2 murders. The Guo family who participated in framing your family back then will also receive the punishment they deserve, and they will also compensate your parents. What is the appropriate punishment? Yi Wushuang asked again. Gong Ba said, Then let the law decide. I will hand over all the evidence to the police and ensure the most fair trial of the matter. Yi Wushuang shook his head, obviously not agreeing, and said, This is not the result I wanted. Gong Ba frowned and said, But as far as I know, what you want is for the Guo family to publicly apologize on TV and compensate your parents. I can guarantee that they will do all of this and get a legal trial. Yi Wushuang sneered and said, Apologize, compensate. This is just the beginning, not the end. I want everyone from the Guo family to be buried with me. Can you do it? In his words, with a sharp killing intent, he coldly scanned every member of the Guo family. A powerful aura enveloped all directions, and the surrounding space seemed to drop to below zero, with a chilling aura. With the support of the Bai family, you can do whatever you want. The speaker was a middle-aged woman who took a few steps forward and continued. I, Guo Jiafeng, guarantee in the name of the Wang family in Rihe City that you will pay the price for 2 lives, including your family. The Rihe Wang family. Yi Wushuang glanced at her and sneered a few times, saying, It's a bit interesting, I'm waiting for the Rihe Wang family to come and find me. Looking at Gong Ba, he said, Your proposal is quite interesting. Keep talking. Gong Ba looked at Guo Jiafeng and said. In the second scene, the Guo family is the leader of a second-rate family with strong financial power. How about this? Yi Fan put his hands on his back, stepped on a coffin, scanned the crowd, and said. Compared to power and financial resources? Yes. If he wants to completely uproot the Guo family, he must also find the backing behind the Guo family, which is a good opportunity. Gong Ba continued, In the 3rd game, you injured the Blade Tiger. Your combat power should be decent. How about I send 1 person to fight against you? Yi Wushuang asked, Is it a life-and-death battle? Sure. Okay. Yi Wushuang nodded and said, Time, place. Gong Ba said, 5 days later, Longying Tai. During these 5 days, I can guarantee that your family will not be harmed in any way. This is a promise I can make to Miss Bai. Okay. Yi Wushuang turned around and left, while Bai Bing quickly followed suit. Dr. Yi, in terms of medical skills, I have absolute trust in you. Bai Bing drove him and the 2 of them sat down, continuing. In terms of financial rights, I am a bit worried. There is the Rihe Wang family behind the Guo family. I remember when I went to see you for the 3rd time, I saw the Rihe Wang family's daughter, the Pearl. Do you think you could invite her to come to town then? My Bai family also has some backers, and I will invite them. What I am worried about is that there may be more than just the Rihe Wang family behind the Guo family. What worries me the most is the 3rd round. Gong Ba is the king of the underground world, knowing countless boxing masters, including world boxing masters, mercenaries, special forces, and so on. His combat power is impressive, and you shouldn't agree to this competition. Yi Wushuang looked indifferent and said, You don't have to worry about this matter. I can solve it myself. Take me home, it's quite late. My parents will worry about me. Go home. My parents are still up and watching TV in the living room, occasionally looking towards the door with a worried expression on their faces. Wushuang, what kind of friend? I came back so late. Mom pretended to be very casual and asked. Another group of annoying friends, parents, hurry up and go to bed. I'm also getting ready to go to bed. A family of 3 fell asleep peacefully, but some couldn't sleep anymore. The Guo family was given 9 coffins and placed in the courtyard, and this matter has already spread widely in Jiangbei. This is a great insult to the Guo family. The Guo family is still holding a funeral these days, resulting in 2 deaths. For a while, the Guo family became a topic of conversation for the people of Jiangbei, and rumors circulated through the streets and alleys. I heard that the Guo family has committed many evil deeds and has recently been retaliated against. Overnight, 2 people were killed in a row, and 9 coffins were sent to the villa courtyard. This is clearly to suppress the Guo family. The Guo family is currently the most rapidly rising family in our Jiangbei region, with a faint trend of leaping into the top-tier family. I didn't expect to face retaliation at this time. Who do you think would have done it? Who knows, maybe it was done by some families who didn't want the Guo family to rise. Let me tell you another exciting news. 5 days later, there will be a big event about the life and death of the Guo family in Longyingtai. What big deal? I don't know exactly, but it's quite large. Time flies, 2 days have passed. A certain classical manner, in an elegant room with excellent location and a beautiful view of the outside, sits 2 people. Lu Nianjin and Huang Qinyun. Lu Lao, is the rumor true? Huang Qinyun was somewhat surprised. Regarding the recent rumors, he also had some ears and didn't believe them very much. Now, speaking from Lu Nianjin's mouth, he is quite surprised. Lu Nianjin nodded and said, I was on the scene and witnessed Guo Jiashu being beheaded by a silver needle. Gong Ba proposed 3 rounds of competition to settle the grudges between the 3 sides. Huang Qinyun touched his chin, took a sip of tea, and said. Mr. Lu, so you invited me here not only to tell me about this, but also to invite me for tea. Tell me, who do you want me to help? Lu Nianjin smiled and said, Yi Wushuang is a truly unparalleled divine doctor. If he dies, it would be a pity. Regarding your father-in-law's condition, it may not last long. I think we can invite Yi Wushuang to give it a try. Do you know about the situation of the Bai family's old man? After taking his medicine, his condition has improved. Huang Qingyun's eyes lit up and then calmed down, saying. Mr. Lu, I have heard that Yi Wushuang is only in his early 20s. You even said he is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. Although you are here to guarantee it, my father-in-law is not an ordinary person and can be a mouse. Once there is a problem, I will also be in trouble. Lu Nianjin took a sip of tea and said, I can guarantee with my life, and once Dr. Yi really recovers your father-in-law, you will gain more. I have confidence in Dr. Yi, and it depends on whether you dare to take a gamble. Huang Qinyun was a little stunned. He looked at him, took a sip of tea, looked out at the beautiful scenery, and said. Mr. Lu, you are the Lu Xingshou of Jiangbei and a person worth your life's guarantee. I'm really curious, but I still don't feel at ease. Since you want to protect him and ask me to help him at Longyingtai, you must recommend him. I'll first see how his medical skills are. No problem, I'll arrange it, Lu Nianjin nodded and said. Tomorrow, Dr. Yi and Bai Bing will have a meal in the Sky City. Let's go grab a meal. Inviting Yi Wushuang, he has no confidence and can only create a chance encounter. After several days of fermentation, the Guo family's 9 coffins incident and the Longyingtai incident have become increasingly intense, and many people have expressed their determination to go and watch. The Yi family has been very calm these days, and their parents have not been threatened in any way. Yi Wushuang walked out of the community and got into Bai Bing's car. The 2 headed straight for the city of Starry Sky. Dr. Yi, the situation is not good. Caesar, the king of mercenaries, and Tang Cheng, the sage of the country, appeared in the north of the Yangtze River, possibly due to the Long Yingtai incident.